I love the term house ball. It's a term I'd never heard before until I started hanging around pinball tournaments with really good players. You know, people who live, breathe, eat, sleep pinball. And I thought I'm really into pinball, but some of the guys at these tournaments are like really into pinball, and they know the nuances and they know the math and the scoring, but the terminology is what's really fun sometimes, is you'll hear them say something and you don't want to sound like an idiot, like you don't know what you're talking about, so you just nod along, and in the back of your mind you put that term house ball. So I was thinking about that just now as I bombed out on Twilight Zone at 520 million with a total house ball out of the scoop shot, but that's all right. That's how we'll start episode 121 of Coast to Coast Pinball. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast commentary. I am a man out of quarters because I put them all in pinball machines, and now I don't have any. Just to be clear. So, how's it going? It's been a while. It's been like 8 days. We're at that mark. I started getting emails today. Hey, man, where are you? You burning yourself out? Did Expo wear you? No. We're fine. Just it's busy. I'm in sales, and the holiday season kicks in a few weeks, which means my season is in session right now, prepping for a few weeks, because I sell to businesses who sell to consumers. So now is when I'm busy. So here we are, episode 121, a milestone of sorts, as I guess they all are. We're coming to you this evening, not live from San Diego, California, here on a nice, cool, crisp almost in San Diego, November 12th, Wednesday, November 12th. So, welcome. That term house ball, I love that term because it's basically the best players in the world saying, there was nothing I could do about that stupid ball that just like kicked out of the slingshot or went dead right into the outlane and I had no chance to even get a nudge in. That was a house ball. And I'm sure that's an older term. I'm positive it came around back in the days when everyone was putting quarters into pinball machines. And, you know, you put your quarter in, you got 3 balls, and one of them just drained automatically on you, you had no shot. That was the house ball. The establishment that owned the pinball machine, they got that one. The house ball. I love that term. So anyway, I thought I'd share that. I thought that once I heard that, it was probably a term I was just sort of naive and dumb and didn't know about, because I heard it from more than one people. I think at Papa's when I started really hearing it a lot. But I said that to somebody fairly ingrained in the hobby, in the business, really, and they looked at me and said, "Oh, that's brilliant." And he said, "Did you make that up, house ball?" I'm like, "No, I didn't make that up. That term's been around, I'm quite sure, for a long time." And he's like, "Oh, I love that. I love it. I'm going to have to start using that." So here's me trying to spread the term house ball. So we're going to do 45 minutes tonight on the term house ball. Just kidding. You know, it's funny. I got a tweet a few weeks ago, and it was actually a pretty funny tweet. Something about my show being at its best when I, like, run down the business of pinball, blah, 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 and at its worst when I... what was it? When I do play-by-play of my game on the play field, or when I do, I don't know, when I basically talk about my actual gameplay, and me being the rebel and the punk rock kid at heart, it makes me just want to do like 3 shows in a row of nothing but play-by-play of my bad gameplay at various machines, at various establishments. That's what I want to do. But really, what it means is somebody cared enough to tweet at me. That's what matters, right? So, you know, just some general housekeeping here, because I do actually have a show planned out tonight, but I feel like I haven't said anything in a while, so I'm going to run my mouth a little bit here. Things are really good in pinball right now. I am seeing posts all over the World Wide Web and the social networks, as they may be, of people at tournaments. I'm seeing photos of jam-packed game expos, events. It's great. There are games being sold. I'm seeing new Stern games arrive to people, new boutique games from Spooky Pinball arriving to people. Mine's getting really close. I had multiple photographs from the Houston arcade show, which was last weekend, of people wearing Coast to Coast Pinball t-shirts, which is freaking cool. I love that. Now, granted, 2 of the 3 shots were of the same one guy, but I can confirm at least 2 different people wore a shirt from this podcast to the Houston show, and that I appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's humbling to get that in my email box. I love it. No, things are good. I have so much email. I'll never respond to it all. I'm sorry. We're past the point of no return. I try. When I get a free moment at work, I will sit down and respond to some. If I happen to catch your email right when I'm like looking at my inbox, I'll try and reply right then. But I do read them all, and I really appreciate that, and they do influence what we do on the show. That is the truth. When I first started this thing, I thought, oh man, emails would be great. I'll read every single one of them on the show. And then I realized after a few months, I couldn't read all of them on the show, but I'll reply to every single one of them. And not just thanks, man, but like I'll try and like read it and respond and like engage. And now I'm at the point where, you know, it's not like a massive, I'm not like Kim Kardashian or anything here, but, you know, 8 to 10 emails a day sometimes, I just don't have a chance to get back to them all. So if I don't reply to you, don't take offense. Try and write a better email next time. No, I'm just kidding. I just kid. If I don't respond to you, I have definitely read it, or you sent it to the wrong email address. But I have definitely read it, and it will influence this show on some level. Either directly with me talking about whatever you said, I read your email on the show, or indirectly that you're in my subconscious now. So, but things are good. I think money is flowing through the hobby. I think people are still excited. I'm actually trying to sell a couple games, selling my Bride of Pinbot and Tales from the Crypt. I know. I just got Tales from the Crypt this year. It's so great. I know. I've got things happening. I'm working on stuff. So I hate selling games. I always try and kind of under talk my games so that I don't disappoint anybody. My games are, my Twilight Zone, I would say, is the closest thing I would have to a collector's quality game, because I bought it after it was all fixed up and shopped out and worked on. And it's not even a 10 out of 10. It's like an 8, 8.5. My Tales from the Crypt is like a solid 7.5. And my Bride of Pinbot's probably like a 7, 6.5, 7 maybe. But they've got quirks, you know. But I hate selling games. I hate the process. I wish I could just keep them all. I simply don't have space. So with that, let's jump into our first little subject matter here.
Forum static.
All right, we look to the Pinside Pinball forums for forum static tonight. On the front page of Pinside's forums for the past few days has been a topic in the Stern Pinball subforum, and it is by Pinside user Underlord. And Underlord posted a yes or no question to the masses. Interest in upcoming Jaws title. Now, first of all, he says, interest in upcoming Jaws title, as if it's a foregone conclusion there is a Jaws pinball game coming. Now, I have a certain theory on this post, and Underlord himself, and I think he may know something. Just saying. I think he, throughout this thread, which is now like 7 pages long, he, I believe, makes mention that he knows that Stern is talking about the Jaws license as a possible future title. And the poll is, Jaws based on original 1975 blockbuster movie. Yes, original Jaws would be a great addition to my collection, or no, thank you. Not a title I'd be interested in owning or routing. And right now we're at a 60-40 split for the yes option. Reading through this thread is interesting because I feel like Jaws would actually be a really good theme on a lot of levels. I think it's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, obviously it's a classic, but it's also sort of has that edge to it without being, another Walking Dead type thing. Has like something intense about it. It's a big, scary shark that's going to eat people and come after you and chase you down. That could be really cool. The music of Jaws, obviously, I think lends itself in a major way to pinball. I think you do some amazing stuff there. You could also fumble this as well if you get too infatuated with a bad toy. That's my fear on a Jaws table, is that they go for some horrible, Jaws toy that eats the ball. I don't know. I could just see this going wrong too. But overall, if you're talking movies and talking themes out there, I think Jaws is a pretty strong one. It sounds like a lot of the people in this thread are into it. there is the thought that, oh, this is another retread. This is old. This is, from 1975. Why are we doing this old stuff? I kind of fall on the side of, if you're going to do Jaws, or we're going to do, I don't know, what's something else that's been rumored? I know the Muppets gets brought up in this thread quite a bit, but I don't think they're going to go that route. But if you said we're going to do Jaws, or we're going to do something like Pacific Rim, that was a big blockbuster movie a couple summers ago, or whenever that was out, I would take Jaws every time, because Jaws is something I think would look good in a game room next to the Addams Family, next to Twilight Zone, next to Medieval Madness. I think Jaws on a back glass would look pretty great. So I'm kind of definitely positive on Jaws as a theme. It kind of opens up a greater question, though, and this is why I want to talk about this specific forum static piece tonight, is the movies as a theme, and not just any movies, but older movies. We saw recently a couple older movies turn into modern pinball machines. We saw The Wizard of Oz. Jersey Jack went way, way back with The Wizard of Oz, and they pushed pinball design forward as well with the technology they used in the game, with the LCD screen, using bits of the movie. Some of the playfield toys were pretty, forward thinking. And I think they sold a lot of games despite that particular movie theme. Now, yes, there are people who bought it. It was family friendly, mass appeal, quote unquote. I fall into the camp of they sold a lot of games despite Wizard of Oz being the theme. I don't think that was a positive selling point overall. I could be dead wrong, whereas I think The Hobbit tends to be more really truly in the middle and will sell some games just because people are really into that series. I don't think there were a lot of, quote, typical pinball buyers who walked around identifying themselves as Wizard of Oz fans, but there were lots who would identify themselves as Tolkien fans, as Hobbit fans, as Lord of the Rings fans. So I think Hobbit to me is a much better theme. Newer movie, but classic story from a classic author. Wizard of Oz is this extreme version of a classic mass appeal movie. It was very safe in a lot of ways because it wasn't going to offend anybody, and it could be sold into certain avenues that needed family friendly. I totally get it. I get it. I think that it would be very tough for Jersey Jack or even Stern to today, even just 3 years later, bring out their next game as The Wizard of Oz. I think it would be met with much less fanfare because a lot of what people got excited about was not the Wizard of Oz theme as a movie, but it was that we had this new pinball company with all these ideas, and it was people from within the industry. That was really exciting. I don't know that it was so much the Wizard of Oz thing. Then we look at what Dutch Pinball is doing, The Big Lebowski. Movie's old. Movie's 18 years old, 20 years old? I don't even remember how old it is. It's old, though. It's not something current. A kid may not even ever heard of that theme. But it's a cult hit. It's a cult classic that people in our community seem to connect with. We had that thread on the pinball forum for months and months and months of build us this game, someone, and we will buy it. And that doesn't happen with just everything. I think Iron Maiden on the music side of things is probably the other one that I've seen the longest kind of running, do this and we will be in on it. So there is something to be said for taking intellectual property or a license like The Big Lebowski that was not hugely mainstream, but really, really connected right dead in the heart of the target audience for pinball, which is guys who are, my age? 36 years old, 35? I'm aging myself here. I'm 35 years old. I think, 30 to 50 male is probably your key demographic for actually buying $5,000 to $10,000, pinball machines. I think it's important that we have themes that appeal wider than that, obviously. But if you're a manufacturing company like Stern says they are, they're going to look for themes that really hit home with the people spending the cash. And it used to be back in the day, you would have operators demanding certain type of themes because that's what was hot. And operators didn't want to buy games unless people were going to spend money on them. That model's shifting a little bit. And I think you're seeing more things influenced not just by that, and that still is there, but definitely, the home buyer and how they'll receive it. And here's the other thing about all this. It's not just Will Nate Shivers in San Diego, California, 35 years old, gainfully employed, hardworking, loves the thought of buying a new pinball machine, will he buy The Walking Dead or whatever, or The Big Lebowski? Not just will I go buy it, but will I talk favorably about it on the internet? That has to play in. If that isn't playing in to your company's decision on your next theme, you are being short-sighted. You should be thinking about what, not me personally, I'm not saying what Nate personally, but what the community is going to say about your theme. That should play into it if your goal is to sell as many games as you can. If you're married to a theme, and that's the most important thing to you, then it doesn't matter. If you just really want to make an Angry Birds pinball machine, if that's just really what will get your rocks off, what's going to make you feel good at the end of the day is I built an Angry Birds pinball machine, then by all means go build an Angry Birds pinball machine. But if your goal is to make a great machine that lots of people want to buy so you can continue making great machines, then you need to really think about what your theme is. And you need to think about how it's going to play to the crowd. Pinside, it's powerful. The internet is powerful. Facebook feeds is powerful. That stuff's big. And if you bring out something that even people who aren't necessarily buying games are really into and really, talking about favorably, you're ahead of the game. The equation is easier for you at that point. I think The Big Lebowski was an interesting take on that because it made the equation very, very simple for a certain amount of games. All right? So, yes, I will concede that The Big Lebowski doesn't play to everybody, but they started out with a theme that played very well to a certain hardcore group, which got behind it, who are excited about it, who are going to be very forgiving of what you did. That's smart. They backed it up with, so far, what looks to be a really great machine. That, see, the equation's easier now. And now they have a lot of momentum. If you look at, let me think of something like Wrath of Olympus, Riot Pinball, because we're going to talk about them in a second. I think you took a theme that was pretty good for a original theme. You had the Greek gods theme. I think that was sort of just waiting for somebody to do. So maybe not as great as, say, Walking Dead, as far as just kicking the doors down and making the equation really easy, and then just put out a decent game and you'll sell them. But still pretty good. I think that plays well, and they had already backed that up. Scott had great artwork right from the beginning, and I think a lot of people saw what he was doing with his shot map and the layout and got on board with that. You look at Skit B Pinball, Predator made the equation so simple, and it was also at a time when there weren't many choices, so you had people just like, oh, Predator, I'm in, here's my money, let's do this. Well, so Skit B comes back with their second game, the Experts of Dangerous theme. I think they've made the equation very hard at this point. Now I don't think they can misstep much at all. I think everything has to fall perfectly into place for this to be a real success. They have to have great artwork, which I think has been a toss-up for some. They have to have a fantastic playing game, and they have to have good marketing, and they have to not, honestly not have a lot of like stubbed toes and delays and trip-ups as they go, which is hard for independent small companies. There's always something going to come up, and it all starts, this whole process, when you come out with a theme that is difficult for people to grab onto, the equation gets hard. Let's keep going with this, because I like it. Spooky Pinball. They announced they're going to build Ben Heck's game, America's Most Haunted, which was originally Ghost Squad, and he ran into a naming situation, which I think did hurt that originally. If this game had been the same name the whole time, I think that the momentum would have been a little bit better, and the equation gets a little easier to get to success. But what Spooky Pinball did is they got to production and got to market ahead of all the other independent companies. I think they also hit a price point that spoke to some people. And then the game came out, and the game was really cool. And people really, I have not seen many negative reviews at all about America's Most Haunted. I certainly immediately, after playing 3 balls in that game, knew I liked it and wanted it. The theme, as far as starting their equation out, I think it was sort of in the middle. I think it's kind of like Wrath of Olympus. I think it was definitely on the good side of the good-bad side of themes. Definitely on the good side. And I think that just the fact that it was sort of spooky and supernatural bought them a little bit of goodwill. I think if it had been a less compelling theme, they might have gotten called out more for something like the artwork or I don't know. I just think it made the equation good, but not simple, but good. And then they brought out a game that, by all accounts, plays great, is a lot of fun. Build quality on the game seems to be awesome, and they're delivering games, so they're succeeding. It's interesting. You look at, Jersey Jack. Like I said, I think the equation with the Wizards of Oz at the time, theme almost didn't matter. I think that theme probably held back some people. I never considered buying it. I just wouldn't buy that game. I mean, I wouldn't buy that game new in box, I guess is what I'm saying. When I say that, I mean I wouldn't spend $8,000 on it. If somebody rolled up to me and said, hey man, I got this Wizard of Oz, I need to get $5,500, I'm trying to, fly to Topeka and start my life over, I would probably do that. But not new in box. So I think their equation for some was probably difficult, but they were one of the first big new ones, and they had all this stuff, so it was easier. The Hobbit, I think it's an easier equation. Now, they ran into some issues with the actual game. I think it wasn't well received. The artwork had some questions about it, and their equation got more difficult, but I think they're still going to succeed. I think they're still going to be in good shape, partly because the theme was such a strong starting point. The theme of your game is the starting point. It is the first part of the equation. Highway Pinball, Full Throttle. Full Throttle is a basically complete game that a lot of people really like the way it plays. I'm not in love with it as far as gameplay. It's not really something that fits me perfectly, but I will absolutely say it feels very professional. It feels very well done. It's fast. It has some really cool shots and some neat tricks. I love the magnet drop trick up at the top left. It's cool. That theme, I think, made the equation harder. So what do? They go and announced Alien Pinball? Aliens? Easy equation. If they can even put out a sort of decent game, they're going to sell a bunch of units. And I have a feeling that with Dennis Nordman and with Andrew Highway's, just passion for it, I think they put out a great game there. And they're going to be very successful. And I think people will look back and go, man, why didn't they just start with that one? Why Full Throttle? That's my opinion. I could keep going forever on this. There's so many games coming out, so many things happening, but theme is just so incredibly important. And when we loop all the way back to what I was talking about with Jaws, I think Jaws is one of those themes that makes the equation easy. Now, other games that we sort of see in that sort of older movie genre that I hear rumored, I know there's a Pinside thread right now about Pulp Fiction. Would Pulp Fiction make a good game? I think that's sort of in the Big Lebowski ballpark. It's sort of that 90s cult classic, although Pulp Fiction is generally regarded, I think, much more highly as just a turning point in movie making. That movie really changed genres, and it's probably one of my favorite films of all time. Does it make a good pinball game? I think it's like the Big Lebowski. It depends on what you do with it. But I do think the Pulp Fiction theme makes the equation easier. I think that's the right sort of vibe and right sort of thing. It's funny if you look at other rumored things coming down the road. We know Kiss has been highly rumored. That's one of those. I think the equation becomes very easy with a certain segment of the pinball buying population due to the popularity of the band and the fact that Kiss has history in pinball. But maybe some that could be a little off-putting. Iron Maiden. I think Iron Maiden is definitely one. It's a good one. There's some original theme ideas I've heard kicked around that I think make things very difficult. Your original theme needs to be, an original theme like Medieval Madness or Wrath of Olympus or, I don't know, trying to think of another one that's really obvious here. But an original theme that you instantly know what's going on and instantly connects makes the equation to success easy. But you can also make it difficult. I think themes like, I don't know, Bad Cats. If you're please design Bad Cats 2 today and show me how that's going to work. It's going to be really tough. And that's no offense, Mr. Bailey. No offense. But I think it would be a tough sell. I think it'd be tough to build and sell 100 Bad Cats 2. That's not a theme that's going to make it easy. A game would have to be pretty freaking awesome. So it is interesting, though, because all that being said, okay, so all of that equation nonsense going down, there's a safety net with using an older license, something that's sort of already made its mark, something like Led Zeppelin, something like Pulp Fiction, Jaws. Here's what's great about that. You know it's not going to become passé really quickly. And I'm looking at you, Starship Troopers Pinball. I'm looking at you, Independence Day. I'm looking at you, Godzilla, Matthew Broderick. I mean, some of these licenses just are just so bad now. They don't stand the test of time. And, Sega had a run of them, obviously. I think even X-Files, that's like classic TV, and that theme just, there was a run of that going on with Sega and into Stern. And I think that was kind of okayed and got through because we're still living at that point in an operator kind of ruled world, and you were just trying to get something that was current and hip and cool out on location, with the overwhelming thought being, we need to play to what's happening now so that people put their money in it and go now and play pinball on location. The problem was a lot of those themes just weren't timeless. They wouldn't be heavily desired for somebody buying in the home, which now, fast forward to 2014, a lot of us are doing. So now you got to be careful when you pick a theme. And, I didn't like Mustang as a theme, but that's pretty safe. That's awfully safe. People are going to be okay putting that in their house. The Walking Dead, I think that one gets there because it's so popular and it's kind of horror. And I think horror always gets a pass. Whereas like sci-fi and mystery and stuff like that, you got to watch yourself. You got to watch out. Even Austin Powers. I mean, come on. How dated does Austin Powers pinball look now? So I think there's something to be said for looking back and doing classic, themes. Sopranos. I'm a huge Sopranos fan. Don't love it as a theme as much, and that's like one of the greatest television shows of all time. So it's just the genre sometimes doesn't really work as well. And that's why I think there's nothing wrong with going and doing Jaws as a theme, and I think could be really well done. It is. More forum static, absolutely. So there's a thread I've been kind of watching. It's interesting. Kind of sparked my mind a little bit. I don't remember who posted this thing, so let's go to page 1 of said thread, which is in the market/announcements subforum. Not a subforum I hang out in all the time. Super Pinball in Richmond Hill, Ontario, Canada, posted a couple weeks ago a thread called "Chinese Knockoffs Could Derail Pinball Comeback." Interesting. And he wrote, I just came across what looks like an Avengers pinball game that can be produced for US $180 to $999 new at 300 units per month by a company in China. This could potentially ruin the pinball industry in the US and the UK. Has anyone come across a machine that might have originated from China? And there's a link to Alibaba.com, a company that just had one of the largest public offerings of all time. They just went public with their company. Huge, massive IPO. And there's a picture of a Stern Avengers pinball machine, and then it's this ad of this company that wants to build them for you. And I actually have quite a bit of experience in this world when you look at what I do with guitars. And company I used to work for and the company I do work for now have had some issues with counterfeit product, because that's what this is. That's what we're talking about here. We are talking about a Chinese company basically advertising they will counterfeit an American-made Stern machine with a 5-piece minimum order for less than $1,000. So it's against the law, first of all, and if you were to buy this and the right people found out, this product would be seized. You could be held. You'd be taken to court for, I believe, trademark infringement, patent infringement if there's patents involved here. You don't want to do this, is what I'm trying to say. And we've actually had that recently with some of our guitars that We're not actually even counterfeit guitars necessarily, and I don't want to get too deep into this 'cause it's ongoing, but I'll just tell you this. I work for Taylor Guitars. There were some guitars bought by a store in the United States that did not say Taylor. That was not supposed to be a Taylor guitar fake or knockoff, but it did have parts on the guitar that were using our trademarked shapes, property that we've trademarked the shape of a piece of the guitar, and we went after them because we have to protect that. Just like if you tried to import a pinball machine that was using the Avengers, Marvel would come after you, potentially. If you're using anything that's trademarked or has property protected by Stern, they could come after you. So the other side of this is I know of a company who about 5 or 6 years ago they tried to do their own in-house guitar amplifiers from China, from one of these, companies. And basically the way they did it is they sent an amplifier. I think they actually went there in person, but they took an amplifier to this factory. It was a solid-state amplifier, guitar amp, and they had it reverse-engineered and changed a little bit so they weren't actually copying it. It was close, but not a copy. Cosmetically, it looked completely different. Now, you cannot patent a guitar amp, like a basic, regular, just transistor guitar amp. It's public domain. We can all build that. Now, there are ways of doing it you can patent, but they were just building something very generic that you can't not, it's like a Fender Stratocaster. You can't patent a 3 single coil pickup with 6 strings and 6 tuning keys and 3 pickup. You just can't do that. So this company went over there and had them built. And they had 5 test units sent to them that they spent, not a lot of money. Cheap. Stuff's cheap. The labor is incredibly cheap. A lot of parts are cheap. Whatever. And they had 5 test units sent to them. And the 5 test units were actually very nice. So they ordered 100 of them. And the 100 real production units were garbage. Terrible. And this is a very common story with some of these Chinese factories who are trying to steal designs and copy designs, is they will often build 1 or 2 really good ones to get the sale and then junk after that. And it's really hard, and you have very little recourse to the factory across the world, literally. So I guess addressing this form static, it goes pretty deep into, can you build a pinball machine in China, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I think you could, actually. I believe that we will see, and certainly in my lifetime, pinball machines built in China. That's probably going to happen. I know that Homepin is building the Thunderbirds game in their own Chinese factory. I think that's different. If Mike from Homepin is really going to start up, and sounds like he is, and run his own factory, that's not what I'm really talking about here. I'm talking about contract manufacturing in China, where you find a factory who will just do a run for you. Now, I think that what we'll probably see first is maybe kits put together where cabinets, heads, playfield, basic assemblies are all done in China, and then its final assembly is here. Maybe they do the wire harnesses over there, something like that. I think there'll be some sort of step before we see a full pinball machine, but I could be wrong. Look, they build cars in China. Cars are built in China. We don't see them here in this country for various reasons, part of that political, money, safety. There's all sorts of reasons you don't see them, but they do build cars in China. If they can build a car, they can build a pinball machine. The quality of Chinese product is all over the place. I see Chinese musical instruments and sound gear all the time. There is a vast, vast difference from the bad stuff to the good stuff. In that thread that I referenced, this Chinese knockoff thread, somebody goes on to say that he bought a guitar in Vietnam that was knocked off and that people at a large guitar show couldn't see it as a fake, thought it was like a real vintage guitar. That surprises me. I work in stores that are some of the leading vintage stores in New York City, and I have seen fakes that were really good that were still very, very obvious to the people in the know. So I could see some people not knowing, and I know of music stores that have bought fake Chinese guitars and amps thinking they were real and not knowing they're paying for it. But the experts in the field do know what to look for, and there are some specific things that you just simply cannot fake on a new guitar that the way wood is worn over years and years and years. There are some things literally impossible to do. But what about a pinball machine? And let's change the story here a little bit. What if I'm not trying to build a game like, X-Men or Metallica in China? What if I was trying to build you a game like, I don't know, Xenon, Paragon, something simple? What if I was trying to build you, Joker Poker, but do it in China? And what if I could build a game that's fairly simple, like something like maybe like Whoa Nelly, Big Juicy Melons? It's not super, super difficult. Maybe this game doesn't have a dot matrix display. Maybe this is a remake of an old game no longer in production. Maybe Planetary Pinball decides they want to build vintage titles in China someday. And what if I could build you these simpler games and sell them to you brand new in a box with like a 90-day warranty for $2,000, $2,500 maybe? Is there a market for that? Is there a market for kind of old school pinball for sub $3,000 pricing? I think there is. I think if you came up to me and said, well, hey, I've got this Firepower 2 game, brand new, pristine, clear-coated playfield, a lot of the same parts that you would see on Stern games, because it's not like all those parts are made in the United States, folks. All these parts that are very similar or exactly the same as you're seeing on American-built games, but it was built and assembled in China, and you can buy this Firepower game for $23.99, $28.99, whatever it ends up being. Would people buy those? I think they would. What if you did try and build Metallica? What if you built Metallica and you could do a pro Metallica in China and sell it for $34.99 brand new in a box, $29.99? What if you could make $1,000 pinball machine that was fun and cool and had real flippers? I mean, that's the draw to building in China, is you could drastically change the pricing game. I lived it. I lived the music industry as everybody went to China. I remember very specifically, we had a mixing console, like a big mixer, like a desktop mixer for live sound, a 32-channel mixer at this company I used to work for called PV Electronics. And that mixer sold to the consumer at the time for, I believe, $24.99, built in the United States, with effects in it, big, nice console board. And that was like 2002, 2003. By the middle of the 2000s, by 2005, 2006, you could buy a 32-channel mixing board built in China for like $7.99, something like that. And it changed the way the whole industry worked. I'm looking up the mixer I was actually thinking about, the 32-channel mixer. I won't say the name, but I'm looking up the one that I have in my head that was inexpensive. That's actually a fancy new digital version that I just pulled out that I'm trying to find. It isn't exactly the same, but I think nowadays, I'm looking at a 32-channel mixer that's probably every bit as good as that $2,500 one. I'm looking at it right now. It's $499. $499 for a 32-channel mixer with effects and all sorts of goodies thrown on it. So that's a pretty drastic price decrease. Now, let's say it isn't that bad. Let's say it's only half. It's more than half. I can tell you that the price can come down. Pinball doesn't have the scale of economy, meaning we don't make as many of these things as, say, the music industry makes of something. Certainly consumer electronics are the big one, where there's just this giant scale of how many they make, so the price comes down because every part gets ordered in bulk, and so you get a better deal all the way down the chain. But let's say it's just half. Let's say Stern Pinball said, okay, we're going to build limited edition pinballs and premiums here in the United States, and they're going to be $5,000 to $8,000. We're going to build our pro model, or maybe they do a home model again, and it's going to be $24.99 for basically the same game. Maybe fewer bells and whistles. Would that sell? Would that play to people if it worked and was safe? Wasn't going to burn your house down? I don't know. I think it does. That's what could really change things. I don't think knockoff pinball machines from China are what anybody's really should be worried about. I've seen what that product is, that counterfeited, that illegal stuff is. That stuff's not going to infiltrate pinball. Part of the reason too is, it's a pretty complex thing that we're doing here with a pinball machine, and these knockoff factories tend to not do that very well. And all it would take would be one or two bad ones, and I think that would be the end of that. So it's an interesting thought. Home Pin is sort of leading the charge right now, and it'll be very intriguing to watch and see where they go with Thunderbirds. And what that turns out like, what the first Chinese pinball machines end up looking like. Their games are not real cheap. Their games are, I believe, their pre-sale price was $5,400 or so. So I don't know, and we don't even know what that game looks like. But very interesting thought. All right, one last piece of business here. On the Pinside Forum, definitely dive into the Wrath of Olympus original custom pinball development topic that's in the boutique and homebrew subforum in the makers. Scott has been posting updates. There's been a lot of stuff that he's dove into the game and changed, things that have been kind of community sourced, great ideas that are being put into it. He's working on a big wizard mode that he'll be able to add to the game. I like a lot of things he's doing, but folks, none of it matters if they don't sell 100 games. So if you're thinking about buying a small build game and you're into what Riot Pinball is doing with Wrath of Olympus, go check it out, watch the videos, follow the thread, and make your decision, because they have a timeline on whether or not they get 100 pre-sales of Wrath of Olympus. And if they get that 100 sales, I believe by, I want to say February 1st, then the game goes into production with Spooky Pinball building it, and that's a big deal. It's a fun game. There's a ton to it. It's cool. There's lots of shots. The artwork's awesome. So definitely check that out if you're someone who's thinking about buying something maybe outside the box. I just definitely wanted to point people back to that, because the game is still changing and getting better, I think, which is really neat.
Getting in bed with Teresa.
Hey, Teresa!
I had no idea that's what you're going to do.
Well, people want to know where you've been. You haven't been on the show in a long time.
You've had me locked up in the attic.
We don't have an attic, but I get what you're saying there. How have you been, Teresa?
I've been good. I've been really busy. School has been crazy.
Teaching the first grade?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why are you making that face?
What, because I love you.
I feel like you're up to no good.
So, pinball stuff. What's been going on in your pinball world?
Not much, just listening to you talk about wanting to sell Bride of Pinbot and the scary one. So
Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah. So you can get a
Shh,
Stern.
don't tell people what I'm going to buy. You just spoiled it.
You want a Stern, right?
I do want
like
a Stern.
a modern Stern.
Or a bunch of other stuff. Or a Doctor Who.
Oh, that's
or,
right. Yeah. You always want
or not a Fishtails.
I think that you should sell the old one that's in the living room.
You don't like my old EM game?
You just don't ever play it.
Skylab?
It's cool looking. It's just like...
I want something different. I want drop targets.
I know, you really like drop targets.
I love drop targets.
Didn't you want to have a band called that one time?
Was there a band called Drop Targets?
No, didn't you want to?
Oh, I thought it would be a good name for a band. Yeah, if you were like a punk rock band or something.
Like when we were younger.
When we were younger and playing punk rock together.
Do people know that?
I don't know. They might. We used to play punk rock together.
Long time ago.
And now we just play sad, like, depressing music together.
You write the most depressing music on the planet.
But I'm a happy guy.
I know, I don't understand.
Teresa, this is not Nate and Teresa's musical history, coast to coast.
How do you do
This
that?
is Coast to Coast Pinball. So you've got to talk about something pinball related.
You've been gone a lot. You've traveled to a lot of shows.
I've played some pinball all around the coast to coast even.
I know. Well, you went to that big one.
Chicago, the Expo?
Yeah.
Pinball Expo? Yeah, that was in October. That was last month. It was a lot of fun. Guess what, though?
What?
You are going to get to go to a pinball show.
Really? What
Yeah.
about the dog?
We'll just go for a day.
Where?
In Banning, California, Arcade Expo.
Where's Banning?
Banning's in the Inland Empire. Now, there is one bad thing that might happen here, and I don't have my dates in front of me right now. It never drains in Southern California.
It's way north, though.
Well, no, it's in Inland Empire also. Like east of LA. A couple hours from here. That's
Okay.
in consecutive weekends with Arcade Expo.
When is this?
In January. But what happens to my world in January?
NAMM.
I have the NAMM show, my big industry trade show, and I can't recall right now if the NAMM show is during It Never Drains or during Arcade Expo, because whichever one of those it happens during, I'm going to have a really tough time getting to.
You're not going to be able to go.
Well, that's probably
Babe.
the case.
NAMM is crazy.
Well, but I might not have any appointments on Sunday at NAMM like last year.
Dude.
Remember? Dude.
I mean, if you think you can do that, but that's like...
If I have Sunday off,
You're
I'll go to
fried
Arcade
after
Expo.
NAMM. Like, you realize that, right? Like, your throat is dead.
Nothing
you're
that a
exhausted.
Monster Energy drink can't fix.
I applaud you if you think you can do that. You come home thrashed. You don't want
It's
to
a
talk.
busy time.
You don't want to stand. You just want to sit.
Because it's NAMM. NAMM
Yeah,
is like, they make
I've
jokes
been.
about like Vietnam NAMM.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that NAMM, but it feels like that sometimes.
I know. I got the NAMM
It feels
thrax.
like we're going to war and everyone gets sick because there's germs from all over the world.
Yeah, I got that.
It's kind of like what happens at pinball festivals. Everyone gets sick because everyone's touching the same grimy buttons and machines.
Yeah.
And I try so hard to Purell my hands.
Are you seriously going to try? It's Purell.
Purell, that's what I said.
You said Purell.
Whatever. This isn't Coast to Coast Grammatics with Teresa. How dare you?
Purell.
How dare you on my own show?
I'm sorry.
You're fired.
Do they have, like, antimicrobial little gloves you can wear?
That would be so lame. I would laugh at anybody doing that. You know, there are
You're
guys.
you know what? You're gonna take the NAMM disease to
the
the
pinball.
pinball thing.
So now I don't know if any of these folks listen to my show, and actually one of the guys does, and he's like really nice dude, and I like him a lot. There are a few players who wear gloves when they play competitive pinball. Did you know that?
So they don't get sweaty?
Probably that's the reason. Yes.
I mean, it makes sense. People wear gloves for, like, driving and stuff.
Yeah. I'm not sure I get it though for pinball.
Maybe they get, like, really nervous and their palms sweat.
That could be it. That could be it. I wouldn't wear gloves for pinball, I don't think, ever.
Like, wait. Like,
They look like weightlifting gloves.
oh, that's...
Don't laugh.
Okay, I'm
See? No, I know for a fact at
sorry.
least... I think I know of two people who I've seen
Are
at
they,
tournaments.
like, afraid they're gonna,
who
strain their wrist?
I don't know. And I can't say for sure they listen to my show, but they know who I am, which makes me think they listen to the show. And I know I've seen them both in gloves. And I've wanted to ask them about it, and I don't want them to think I'm making fun of them. Because I'm not making fun of them. I'm just curious. What's with the gloves?
It's...
Stop it. You're just mean.
I'm sorry, I'm just picturing... Okay, remember the weightlifting dudes, like, in the 80s and early 90s that wore those baggy, weird pants that had, like, stripes?
Yeah.
And then, like, an oversized t-shirt because they were fat now. And then, like, the gloves. And they'd be at
These
the
guys
grocery...
don't look like that,
No,
though.
I know. But that's what I picture, like, the guys at the grocery store. You're not lifting weights, and they have the
If
gloves
you ever
on.
play in a tournament at one of these things, which you
Should
will
I wear
eventually,
gloves?
I want you to wear gloves. I think that'd be really fun.
Like, cute, like, fashion
Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Like little fingerless fashion-y gloves.
Yeah, maybe it'll keep you from chewing on your cuticles.
Hey,
She just was chewing on her cuticle.
it's a floppy piece of skin.
All right, well, we gotta go. I gotta get back to the show.
You don't have any pinball questions?
Okay. What did you think of... Okay, here, I got one for you.
Okay.
Better theme for a pinball machine, because I'm going to talk about this on the show tonight, and I don't know if it'll be after or before this, but better theme for a pinball machine. Jaws or Pulp Fiction?
That's hard. Like, what would they do for Pulp Fiction?
I don't know. What would they do for the Big
Like
Lebowski?
the weird, creepy-
We saw the Big Lebowski. We saw the Wizard of Oz.
I'm sick of movies. I mean, even though Jaws is a movie, I feel like it'd be like, scary.
Would it be
Kinda
like,
fun.
Scary?
Well, I just picture, like, the big shark mouth, and I don't know what you do in Jaws either, though.
Well, they did Baywatch.
Well, that's just because people want to see big boobs on the back glass.
Confirmed.
Neither. I vote neither.
Neither. Really? Okay. How about Iron Maiden or Led Zeppelin?
Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden.
It's, like, built in.
It's kind of built in, right? Yeah. Iron Maiden or a new Kiss.
Kiss never.
Well, Kiss is like classic in pinball. There was a 70s.
I know there is. We've talked about it. I just... I don't
No.
want to see their big bloated selves on another
No,
pinball.
I'm sure they wouldn't. They wouldn't want to see their big blooded cells.
Would they do,
either.
like, art instead of
I would hope
photos?
so.
I don't need to see another Kiss anything, so...
Okay.
Sticking with Iron Maiden.
All right, Iron Maiden it is.
What's the guy's name?
Eddie.
Yeah, they already have Eddie.
Eddie's sort of tailor-made for a pinball machine.
I can't believe they haven't done that yet.
I know. All right. Well, there. That's some.
I'm alive.
That's some hard-hitting commentary, Teresa. I like it.
Really?
Not really, but I was just trying to be nice. It hit me.
You're being mean.
All right. Say goodnight.
Good night.
Bye.
Hey, Teresa's back. Isn't that good? That's good. So that's the episode. That's episode 121. I don't know if I'm going to get another one out this week or not. Got a lot going on. I'm traveling next week. I'm going to be all over the East Coast. I'm going to Boston. I'm going to Buffalo. I'm going to New York City. And then I believe I'm going back to New York City for a one-day trip for a Big Lebowski VIP party at Modern Pinball New York City in Manhattan, which is awesome. Dutch Pinball is going to fly their games across the ocean and do a VIP party at Modern Pinball on Friday the 12th and Saturday the 13th. I was trying to make it for both days. We're going to have the Dutch Pinball guys on the show. Looks like I'm only going to be there for Saturday. I had some work commitments on that Friday I could not get out of. But if you're in the Northeast, if you're anywhere near New York City, start making plans. Come to Modern Pinball. I'd love to meet you. I know the Dutch Pinball guys would love to meet you. It's going to be a fun day. Modern Pinball is an awesome place to play a lot of great pinball machines. And it's New York City, man. You know, it'll be cold, but it'll be fun. So definitely looking forward to that. Got some other stuff coming up. January is going to be a pretty big month. Looking forward to January. And until we get to episode 122, I appreciate you listening. Your emails are always welcome and appreciated. And we'll talk to you real soon. Take care. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah.